You ever wanted to just slow down time as a dad, just because you know that your time with your kids is fleeting? And in fact, I remember right before I became a dad, and I remember people telling me, better enjoy it, just capture it, it just goes so fast, it's here today and it's gone tomorrow. They're changing their diapers and then all of a sudden they're leaving the nest and going to college, it goes so fast. And I'll tell you, that used to drive me crazy. I don't know about you guys, but I heard it all the time from people that were ahead of me in life, and it used to just kind of drive me crazy. But I'll be very honest, I'm a little annoyed because they lied. What I mean by that is it actually went faster than what everybody ever told me. Like, it really did go faster. Gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to the Dad Edge Podcast. I'm Larry Hagner, your host and founder of this podcast, this show, and movement. Hope you guys are doing well. Today's podcast is going to be near and dear to my heart, and it's a message that I was reminded of myself just last night as I record this. Last night was senior night for my oldest son, who's a senior in high school, and it was his last home wrestling tournament. And he was recognized with a handful of other seniors that are on his team. We got to do a walk to the mat with him, my wife and I, and he was recognized and talked about and all that good stuff. But last night, as I stood there, I was reminded of something. And the message that I have for you guys today is it almost brought tears to my eyes because I was reminded of how fast this thing called time goes. Like, I remember my son 18 years ago, the day he was born and all those things. And I remember how fast, I was reminded last night how fast this time goes. It is crazy fast. And I was like, man, I talk about this dad stuff all the time. And I can't believe how fast this actually goes. And everyone told me how fast it goes, but they lied because it goes way faster. So today is going to be a story of how time flies, but how we can actually slow it down. How we can create moments that are unforgettable, how we can literally be undistracted, be fully present, and to live a life without regrets with our kids. That's what today's podcast is all about. So gentlemen, buckle your seatbelt, tie your shoelaces, and enjoy this one. And I want to share a story with you guys around slowing down time. And it's really kind of the truth that we all need to hear. And I'm hoping you guys can learn this from me. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a fumble, but it's something that was a really, really powerful reminder. And I think it's a powerful reminder for you guys who have younger kids than I do. It was a powerful reminder for me to really capture, just every moment I can with my kids who are younger than my oldest, who's 18. And he's actually, in a month, he's going to be 19, but he's a senior in high school. And I want to share a story with you. So as I'm recording this podcast, last night, I went to my son's senior night, which is basically, it was his last wrestling meet at his school. And so it was the last time he was ever going to step foot on the wrestling mat at home. And when they do this, the coaches honor the seniors on the varsity team, and the parents walk with the kids and they honor the kids, and they share the special memories that they had and the memories that my son had, and what he's going to do after he graduates, which he's going to be an EMT, a paramedic, and then he's going to go to the fire academy. He's going to be a firefighter. So he's really excited about that. And walking with my son. So I kind of want to just set the stage. So I'm in line. I'm on his left side. My wife is on his right. And there's about, 8 other seniors that were going to be recognized that night. And we're in line. And I'm just kind of to be honest, I was just sort of in my head. And I was just I really wasn't focused on the intentional moment. And then we walked out there and I heard them call his name. Hey, senior night tonight, we're gonna recognize Ethan Hagner, and he was one of, I think, like I said, 7 or 8 seniors. But we're walking with him, and they're talking about his favorite memories that he had in high school, and the favorite sports, and what he was most excited about with his future. And again, I was just kind of in my head. I'm walking, just kind of smiling. The yearbook's taking photos and that kind of thing. It was really cool. And then we're standing there in front of the crowd, and I'm just kind of looking at the crowd, and I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. And then I looked to my right and I saw my son, and I looked at him and I was like, oh my gosh, he's a man. He's a young man. He's 18 years old. He's a senior in high school. He's almost 19. And after this, he's going to go on to start his life, going to EMT school, going to then to be a paramedic, and then to be a firefighter. And he's also going to start his own business as well. And I looked at him and I literally had this flashback of him when he was born. I still remember the shoes I was wearing. Because I had to put those shoe covers on over my feet to go into the OR. And I remember the jeans I was wearing. I remember the shirt I was wearing. I remember damn near everything about that day. And I remember how my life completely changed, that I knew that I was going to be a father. Sorry, getting a little emotional over this, because it's really surreal when you really sort of sink into it, right? Sink into the experience of it, the moment, versus talking about it like surface level. And I looked at my son, and this is what I saw. My son has this really cool mullet that he wanted to grow for wrestling, and he pulls it off really well. And I'm looking at the side of his face where I see the stubble of his beard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you are a young man. And I just remember putting my arm around him, and like my right arm was around him. And I just remember like squeezing his shoulder a little bit. And he kind of like looked over at me and smiled. And he didn't know what I was doing or what was going through my head, but like I squeezed his shoulder, and I just wanted to hold on to that moment, for damn near dear life, to be honest. Because number one, I was so proud. But number two, I was reminded of all those people that told me how fast this whole thing was going to go. And holy crap, did it ever. Man, did it ever. And I got to be honest, man, I loved every single bit of it. It was hard, right? But man, I loved every single bit of it. I still love every single bit of it. But it was such a reminder to me, for my other three boys, of like, holy cow, this is so fast. This is so fast. And it made me last night, when I said my goodnights to the boys, kind of hug them a little tighter. I talked to them just a little longer, and I really started to notice things, especially like my 8-year-old. My 8-year-old gave me this huge hug. He stood up in his bed before he went to bed, and he put out his arms for me to give him a hug. And he kind of likes to do this thing where he stands on his bed and he holds out his arms. Then he wraps his arms around me and wraps his legs around me, and he hugs me, and he wants me to kind of hold him like that. And I just did that. And I held him for about as long as my arms would allow me to hold him, which was quite a few minutes. And I just took it all in. And I thought to myself, man, this kid is only going to be this size for so long. I'm only going to be able to hold him like this for so long. He's only going to probably want me to hug him like this for so long. Like it feels like seconds in life, and then it's gone. So the purpose of today's podcast is just to share with you guys what I was feeling. And I was feeling such tremendous pride, for my son, and I was proud of him. But it was also such a reminder, as like all these memories, like that flooded my mind in that moment of like him taking his first steps, first time I ever saw him crawl. Because that was magical as well. The first time I ever saw him do a sport, the first time I ever saw him play an instrument, first time his first day of high school, his first day of kindergarten, first day of first grade, first day of middle school, prom, homecoming, rites of passage that I took him on, memories and moments that we have made over the years. And it just like literally all of this stuff like flashed before me in like a millisecond. And it reminded me of, just like I said, how precious this is. So the purpose of this podcast today is to remind us that there's this illusion of time, that we always have a lot of it. Like there's always tomorrow. And I would tell you to challenge that all day long. Challenge that all day long, because you're going to turn around tomorrow and you'll be 50 and your kids will be an adult. And you're like, what the heck? What the heck just happened? So time is fleeting. The moments that we have, that we capture, are the ones where we are fully present. Like we can feel our feet in our boots, right? Or in our shoes. Like we feel that presence that like, man, like, so for instance, when I had my arm around my son during senior night, I was like, holy cow, he's as tall as me almost. Man, he's like, look at him. He actually looks like a man. Look at the look on his face. There's confidence. There's pride that he's here, right? That he's made it to senior year of high school, that he's a varsity wrestler, that this is his last time on this mat. And there's just pride and sadness and all the things in between. And getting to share that with him, and knowing how quickly it really, really went. So number one is, don't buy into that we always have tomorrow. Don't buy into the fact that we have plenty of time, because it's going to slip away, right? Another thing too is our distractions. Now, I don't need to tell you guys this, because there's distractions around every single corner. We have our phones, and these things are like absolute, they're shit shows, to be honest, right? on that phone, on your phone, and I don't even know how many apps are out there now or all that good stuff, but I'll just share mine. I have a couple of different emails, right? I have social media. So I have Instagram, I have LinkedIn, I have TikTok that I never check. I have Facebook. We have groups, we have pages, we have all kinds of stuff. Then so that's social media. Then I have my text messages. Then I have DMs within those social media outlets. I have, some apps that I use and that kind of thing. But this, like our phones, if not careful, these things will steal our attention and it'll steal these moments. And here's the other thing too, that no one ever tells us. When our moments are stolen, time speeds up. When our moments are stolen, when we're not careful, when we're not focused on those moments, they are gone and they are stolen from us. So don't let yourself be robbed. Don't let the burglar of your phone steal your time, right? Get that thing security locked down. Like put an alarm on it. Do whatever you have to do to lock that thing down and put your heart, soul, mind, eyes, ears, everything you can when you're around your kids. The other thing too is the illusion of distraction is also, I need to go do this other thing. I need to go, and a lot of us, and I'm right there with you. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I'm a business owner. Like if I'm not working within my organization, I have mouths I need to feed. I have people I need to pay. I have clients that need my attention. I could literally probably work 23 hours out of the day. And there's always something that seems like it might be more important because the livelihood of my kids and their needs being met is based on how hard I'm working or not working, right? So there are a lot of times for us as dads where we feel very tempted to go do something else that we think is quote unquote more productive. In actuality, we have to really filter those decisions to where like, hey, is this really that important? Do I need to do it right now? Or can this wait till my work day tomorrow? Can I simply put this task, or can I delegate this task, or can somebody else do it? Right. So not really buying into the lie that whatever it is that is going on, or you think you need to do it right now because it might be really, really important. How important is it really? Can it wait until tomorrow? The other thing too is don't ever think that life goes on pause, right? We can't hit the pause button of life. That play button is always moving, right? Can't pause it, can't rewind it. We can rewind it in our memories, but we can't ever physically, mentally, emotionally really go back to a moment after it's passed. So the best way to make sure that we are fully present while that play button is playing, because we can't stop it, is to put down the distractions and just allow ourselves to sink right in to that play button, right? Play button meaning like, I'm here. I am present. I am going along with the flow. There's nothing else that matters right now but this time with my kids. A quick segue on this. I'll never forget a video that I saw where Michael Keaton, I think he was sitting with Tom Hanks, Shia LaBeouf, and I think a couple other celebrities. And they were just having a roundtable, cool discussion around just life and the things that they've learned. And Tom Hanks said something that I thought was pretty profound. That was, when we're in a good season, like when everything's going good, well, this too shall pass, right? And we're going through a bad season. We hear it when we go through bad seasons. Well, you're going through a bad season. Well, guess what? This too shall pass. So that was Tom Hanks's, one of his life lessons. But I want to get to Michael Keaton's, which I thought was more appropriate for this show, which when it got to him, he said, here's what I can tell you I've learned. Spend as much time as you possibly can with your kids. There's always going to be distractions. There's always going to be other things that you feel that you need to do. But here's what I'll tell you. You will never, ever, ever, ever regret the time you spent with your kids. And you probably won't even remember all those important things that you were doing or you felt that you should have done instead of spending time with your kids, because you can't, quite frankly, you won't remember it, but you will remember the times that you were with your kids. So spend as much time with them as you possibly can. And for a celebrity actor like that, who's high in demand, everybody knows who he is, for him to be able to even slow down life and say no to things, say no to distractions, no to projects. To my knowledge, I think Michael Keaton has said no to projects that he actually really wants to do because the project was going to interfere too much with the time he was going to have with his kids. And I think we can learn something from that. So the question really becomes, how do you slow down time? Like, how do you slow down time? One way to do it is to get fully grounded and engaged in the moment, right? And you can do that. Like, I'll give you an example. Like last night, I was looking around at the audience as we were at senior night, and I was looking at everybody else, and I was like, wow, like, look at the lights, look at the people. Like, I can hear the guy on the microphone, and I really wasn't kind of there. I was everywhere else in that room, but I wasn't there, like there with my son. And it wasn't until I told myself intentionally, like, be here, be right here with him. Like, I literally felt my feet in my boots. And my right arm that was wrapped around him, I squeezed his shoulder, and I thought to myself, I was like, his shoulder is almost as tall as I am, right? I can feel like the muscles in his arms from months and months of training of wrestling, right? I can actually feel how quickly he's breathing and like how he's kind of nervous, like that the microphone is on him now, and I could feel that. But like, that got me fully present, engaged in that moment with him, which is like just grounding myself in that moment when my brain just wanted to kind of go elsewhere, right? Just wanted to like look around like, oh, look, it's a squirrel, sparkly, shiny stuff. There's somebody on the microphone. There's all these people around. There's all this stuff. But being grounded in that moment was something really beneficial. Another thing too is just say yes more often. Our kids are always going to ask us to do things, and there's going to come a time, and you guys know who have older kids, you know what I'm talking about. But there's going to come a time where your kids are not going to ask you to do much anymore, right? You're actually going to have to fight for their time. So say yes as often as you possibly can. If they want to play cards with you, play cards with them. If they want to play a game with you, play a game with them. If they want to go out and throw the football, frisbee, or play tea party, or get your nails painted if you got a daughter, say yes. Say yes to it. Because there's going to come a time where there isn't an opportunity to say yes. One other quick example of this. So my 17-year-old, he's got about 400 something days here under this house before he goes away to college. And every night, still to this day, the kid like wants us to tuck him in. He's like a savage football player, but he still wants us to tuck him in and say goodnight. And I'll be honest, there's that part of me. It's like, man, he's kind of older. Like, tucking him in, should I do that? Like, and the answer to that is yes. Like, there have been nights that I've walked past the stairs, been like, is it really, like, does he really want me to say goodnight to him? The answer to that is yes, he really does. But do I want to? Should I? He's kind of older. And I think to myself, I only have 400 something more opportunities to do this before this kid's gone. Like, I'm going to take every bit of those 400 opportunities to do that, right? Just to say yes to it. The other thing too, one of the great things about these wonderful digital devices is they take video and they also take photos. So take photos, take a lot of photos. As I'm looking at my phone right now, I kid you not, let me take a look at it. I have 115,287 photo and video combinations on my phone. 115,000. I'm a little crazy with it. I'm not going to lie. I do take a lot of photos. Like, my kids give me trouble all the time. They're like, you take photos of like the simplest stuff. I'm like, yeah, because it's memorable. Because the simplest stuff is the stuff that is magical, right? It's not necessarily the big, awesome vacation or the big thing that we do or whatever. It's the little things. It's the family dinners. It's the fact that we're, playing a board game together as a family. It's the fact that we're even chilling in front of, the fireplace, watching Polar Express the night before Christmas. Like, I want to take photos of those things. So take photos and take lots of them. The last thing I'll share is live this life of zero regrets. Zero regrets. You guys have heard me say this quote a lot, but the definition of hell is meeting the man that we could have become when we are on our deathbed. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to meet that man. I want to be that man. I want to be on my deathbed, smiling, knowing that it wasn't always pretty. In fact, it was really messy. There was a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed it and I did it and I learned every possible thing that I could. Right. And I went all in with my kids. I didn't leave hardly anything, if anything, on the table. That is a life worth living, in my opinion, is that one without regrets. So going back to you guys and going back to your kids, as you wrap up this weekend and you think about this message, I want you to really take in this weekend and moving forward as much as you possibly can. The moment that's right there in front of you with your kids, whatever moment that is the moment. That is a moment you're not going to get back, that we don't get back. So make it as intentional, make it special, and make it phenomenal. Because we only got one shot at this whole thing called fatherhood. We only got one shot at this whole thing called life. And as I used to say in my previous intros, Why not make it epic? Why not? Why not make this life epic? We got one shot at it. Let's not go mediocre. Let's not go 1.0. Let's do things the best we possibly can. Let's go legendary. Let's go 2.0. Let's live life all out with our kids, with our marriages, with just the fulfillment of life itself, because we only got one time at this, man. One time, that's it. Gentlemen, I'm going to have a resource for you in the show notes. If you guys head on over to thedadedge.com/presence. Again, thedadedge.com/presence. In that, you're going to find a training on how to be fully present in the moment. And it's a free training. It's about 15 minutes long, and it'll give you a PDF, but it'll give you real marching orders on how to be fully present with your kids. It's a great resource. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, quick announcement, the Men's Forge. Go check that out. May 1st through the 4th. It's going to be awesome. I am proud to say not only this, by the way, it's a combination event between me, Ryan Mickler of Order of Man, Connor Beaton of Man Talks, Matt Bordeaux of Apogee Dads, Matthew Vincent of Not Dead Yet. We have an incredible lineup of speakers. We're all going to be speaking, but Dr. Robert Glover, who is the best-selling author of No More Mr. Nice Guy, is going to be there speaking, along with Hollywood actor Sean Patrick Flannery. His latest film was Nefarious. You guys have probably seen it or heard of it. Boondock Saints was one he was really known for early on. Powder, he was in that one. The Indiana Jones Chronicles, he was Indiana Jones. You guys probably know who I'm talking about for sure, but he's going to be there not only speaking, but he's going to teach us some jiu-jitsu, because he's actually a 4th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So check out the Men's Forge. We don't have many spots left, but I highly encourage you guys. That event will freaking change your life. All you got to do is buy a ticket, and we take care of the rest. Buy a ticket, get there. We got your bed. We have all your food. We have all your activities. The ranch that we're going to be on, this is a one-stop shop. It is beautiful. Don't miss out. Head on over to thedadedge.com/Friday 196 for this show. Again, thedadedge.com/196 for this show. Gentlemen, go out, live legendary. Make sure you slow down time and enjoy your kids.